In this video, I'll show you how to paint a mushroom in watercolors and how I simplified the reference photo, but it still looks realistic.
Hi, I am Bianca. I am a watercolor artist. I create watercolor tutorials and art supply reviews.
I painted on the Baohong Academy Hot-pressed watercolor sketchbook. This is 300 GSM 100% cotton. I removed the pencil lines using a kneaded eraser. I got the reference photo from Unsplash and will link it to the description box. As you can see, the reference photo of this mushroom is highly detailed. In this watercolor painting tutorial, I will simplify the painting. The reference photo is just a reference. Remember, in art, you don't have to copy the entire thing. You can always simplify. I prepared the consistency of the colors to use in this mushroom, and the colors are Naples Yellow Deep from Core, Transparent Pyrrole Orange from Core, French Ultramarine from Daniel Smith, English Red Ochre from Daniel Smith, and Sepia from Shinhan PWC. I always start painting with the wet-on-wet technique. It means I apply water first before I add the colors. The paper is wet enough, but there are no puddles on my paper. I always let the paper absorb the water before brushing with paint. I always start with a light wash or tea to coffee consistency for the first two layers. In this case, I applied a very diluted wash. I started painting on the left with French Ultramarine. I also added Naples Yellow Deep on the upper left to the center. Then, I softened the end of the brush strokes for a smooth blend. Then, I wet the upper left part of the mushroom and painted it with transparent pyrrole orange. The mushroom was quite big, so I painted section by section. I also used a hot-pressed watercolor sketchbook that is quicker to dry than the cold-pressed. From the top, I wet the right side of the mushroom, then I painted orange on the dark area of the mushroom. Then I moved to the center. I wet the paper first, and then I added Naples Yellow Deep. I softened the areas I brushed so the colors would blend nicely on the paper and it wouldn't dry with harsh edges. I moved to the bottom part of the mushroom and I wet the top and the left part. I added French Ultramarine under the cap of the mushroom. This area is the darkest area of the mushroom. Then I moved to the stem with a wet-on-wet technique. I painted orange on the brownish areas of the stem and softened the brush strokes. Then I wet the center left and painted it with orange. I always soften the brush strokes and at the same time, I wet the other parts. I painted French Ultramarine on the darkest area of the stem and the bottom. The stem has a lot of details, but I won't paint all of them, just the obvious parts. I let the stem dry and moved back to the cap. This is the second layer and I wet the upper left part. Then I painted it orange and I softened the brush strokes. I moved to the stem and I wet the lower part. Then I painted with Naples Yellow Deep. This is so light that you can't almost see. But on the upper center, I added darker yellow. This is the third layer. I wet the upper left of the cap and then I added the coffee consistency of the yellow. I started adding English Red Ochre. This is the stage where I start building up my colors. I wet the top part of the cap and I added an English Red Ochre. This color is very light orange brown. I also added this color and yellow to the middle part of the cap. I wet the center to the right side of the mushroom cap. Then I added English red ochre to the darker areas and Naples yellow deep to other parts of the cap. I wet the bottom of the stem and I painted it with sepia. I did the same to the darker small parts of the stem. I wet the bottom of the cap and I mixed the English red ochre to sepia. Then I painted the shadow areas of the top of the stem. I wet the middle part of the stem and I painted it with English red ochre. I started to build up the colors on the whole stem. I followed the colors that I saw in the reference photo. This is the fourth layer of painting the cap, and I started painting the bottom part of the mushroom cap with the brown mix. If you find this video helpful, please tap the like button. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. Remember to tap the notification bell so YouTube will let you know if I upload a new video. Also, in this stage, I added yellow and brown colors to the cap. I look at the reference photo beside me as I painted this mushroom. I painted just the obvious details. I painted the bottom of the cap with sepia. I added more English red ochre at the top. I added sepia to the top and on the left part of the stem. I also added English red ochre to the middle and other parts of the stem. I painted wet on dry on the details. I enhanced the color of the shadows at the bottom of the mushroom cap. I finalized the mushroom by adding shadows and some fine lines using the tip of my brush. This is how my mushroom turned out, a simplified yet realistic watercolor mushroom. I hope you like this video. I recommend watching the next video about painting the apples in watercolor.